Alright, hello everyone and welcome to WWE Discussion. I'm your host and WWE enthusiast Doug. In today's episode I'm going to be discussing NXT November 7th, 2023 edition. In this edition of NXT would see Valkyrie make her first appearance as the NXT Women's Champion, and also the build and deadline has started with a couple of matches, qualifying matches for the Iron Survivor happening, and with that we're going to get right into the action, starting with Valkyrie addressing the NXT universe. And this was a short and simple segment that above all else actually made sense. Xia Li has made it a point to target Becky Lynch, so what better way for Li to further get at the man than by setting her sights on her friend and protege. Just weeks after Lynch appeared to pass the torch in NXT to Valkyria, Li has an opportunity to dethrone her and ruin Valkyria's dream and take over, of being the new face of her dream of being the not only NXT Women's Champion but the face of the division. Now, when that match will take place though is not revealed. Deadline would be a good spot for it if you have I'd imagine Deadline would be a good spot for it too, because I don't know, unless you have another women's title match planned at Deadline, that would be a good one right there for that one. Iron Survivor qualifying match following Henley vs Tiffany Straton, and this was a good competitive match between familiar foes that saw Straton get back to her own ways and cash her ticket to one of NXT's marquee matches, the Iron Survivor Challenge. Given how brightly she shined during the feud of Becky Lynch, it makes sense to continue to push her and highlight a young competitor who is quickly developing into one of the premier competitors in the division. With that said, Haley's always been a wrestler who is better than her place on the card would show or suggest. Perhaps breaking her away from Briggs and Jensen and letting her develop her own personality might help her shine a little bit more. Right now, she's currently stuck in a loaded division with a slew of promising young stars coming up, so it's kind of hard for her to separate from the pack, but give her an opportunity. Again, maybe break her away from Brooks and Jensen and see what she does. But yeah, Straton being in the Iron Survivor match, that one makes sense. Another Iron Survivor Challenge qualifier, Tyler Bate versus Daack, and this was an intensely physical match that nothing else in the show came close to matching. It saw each man test each other's toughness, but in the end, Daack would secure the victory. And this is one of those matches that could have gone either way, but given the fact that Beta has only started to tease the idea that he feels as if the industry is passing him by while he's leading on past accomplishments, this is not the time to wrap up that story. Besides, Daack has earned an opportunity like this. You would have thought Bate, or at least I thought Bate was going to win this one, but no, instead Daack gets the opportunity, which is a great thing. Daack gets opportunities, but hasn't really been able to capitalize on them. Maybe this time things are different at Deadline. I guess it depends on who all else is in the match right now, but this is still a good opportunity for Daack. Well, looks like I forgot to add in the slide about the main event segment, which was Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams meeting face to face, and the tension between the two intensified in the main event segment as the former took exception to the former NXT champion not returning the favor and having his back when he had done the same for so long. Although I'll be honest, I'm kind of confused by that dialogue too, because did Trick Williams not tell Carmelo Hayes to stay back and let him do this on his own? So if Trick Williams is telling Carmelo Hayes to stay back and let him do it on his own, then why is he upset that Hayes does not have his back? Unless that's just not correct, but I thought that's what he said. Williams also admitted that he didn't see who had attacked him, and Hayes' initial reaction suggested that he might have been the one to do it, until that his Lexus King decided to interject into things, basically kind of so he would interrupt, stir things up, and ultimately baited Williams into trying to hit him, only to duck out of the way, and Hayes takes the hit. A brotherly embrace between the two ended the show, but it was clear that there is some distrust and frustration forming between the two. King did tease his involvement about a week ago, hinting that he had done something bad but refused to expand upon that thought. After this week's show and his performance on the mic, it seems like he is the actual perpetrator, and that would set him up for a big premium live event match at Deadline against either Hayes or Williams, if that is the case. It's a big spot for him to be in, but if you want to figure out how well Lexis King can do on a premium live event stage, why not put him in the ring with two guys that are synonymous with shining bright on the biggest stages? Even with King's involvement, it looks like there's still going to be some issues between Hayes and Williams to work out, and if that is the case, then you can expect a one-on-one match between the two, so keep an eye on that element of the program moving forward. And in conclusion, those who do not routinely keep up with NXT have missed out on its slow development into one of the more consistent WWE shows. Since Shawn Michaels has really taken over as the showrunner, the brand has backed off some of the way over the top stories and characters that hampered its progress a year or two ago. It is finding its footing again. Some of the wackiness is still there, but there is a commitment to in-ring action, including a focus on women's wrestling, and it seems like fans genuinely care about the competitors on the broadcast. Add to that more focused booking, and you have a brand that knows what it is, who it wants to feature in prominent positions, and gives almost its entire roster something of substance to do. This broadcast laid the foundation for their Deadline, presented live Valkyrie as a star, wrapped up Braun Breaker and Von Wagner's feud, and also Lexis King immediately established himself as a potential primetime player, trying to establish himself as a primetime player, and the teases involving Boa, Dante Chen, and Ava Ray, which reminds people that sometimes you gotta pay close attention to what goes on behind the scenes. You gotta look beyond the focal point of the segment to see what's happening in the background. A good show with the promise of even better to come. And with that will conclude this episode of WWE Discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like button down below.